Okay, okay. Check one, check one. This is gonna be a good one. I really wanted to make this video tonight before I forgot. It's gonna be on why shadow work induces psychic integration. Now that seems to be a bit of a loaded statement, and there's a lot of elements in there, and they're very compounded, you could say. So I'm gonna break that down, and I'm gonna go into that. We're gonna chop it up. It's gonna be great. Okay, stick with me here. The practice of shadow work and the effect that it has had in my own life and on my own mind has been nothing short of transformative. And I think a lot of people maybe, I don't know if misconception is the right word, but perhaps they don't have a holistic perspective of what I mean when I say shadow work. Okay, because I know I didn't, especially when it was popularized in terms of like pop psychology and everything. Because especially if you really want to get into Jungian psychology, um, it goes a lot deeper than a lot of people make it out to be. It's like a probe. Like you're going deep in there. You get all the smoke. You're inhaling all the smoke. Okay, and at first it can be a bit intimidating, a bit daunting, but it's also very sobering because you can see that darkness within you, and you can see the fact that you've essentially been gaslit. We've essentially been gaslit our entire lives on why we need to repress that, on why that's bad, on why we shouldn't have those thoughts, and just deny and ignore them and they'll go away, and eventually you'll have a panic attack, mental breakdown, become neurotic, um, not know who you are, be dead and be dead in sin because you literally are walking in darkness because you don't know who you are, because you've grown up with people telling you who you were supposed to be, and they didn't know who you were because only you know who you are, because only God puts that on you. You have direct access to the Most High, and the Most High will always tell you who you are. Always. No exceptions. No exceptions whatsoever. Always. Try for yourself if you don't believe me. I did not believe it myself. I tried it, and look at that. I was, I found out. I found out, and that was something that I had to do. That was something I had to learn. But I digress. The the real purpose of shadow work in my mind is to make the darkness light. And when I say make the darkness light, I mean bring the unconscious elements of that darkness, of that pure id, that raw ego just going crazy, and bring it into the light of understanding via the conscious mind, okay? The higher self, the right hemisphere of the brain, okay? The you could say the really the inner Christ. And when you make the darkness light, you you understand the darkness and you do not reject the darkness. That's a very, very big part. You cannot reject the darkness because if you reject the darkness, you reject a part of yourself. And a house divided cannot stand. You cannot serve two masters. Never reject that a part of yourself, especially if it's darkness. That was never the goal. You're supposed to identify, okay, the darkness. I didn't say identify with the darkness and let it consume you. I never said that. Dude, don't do that. That's not the answer either. Identify the darkness in your psyche, okay? It's there. We all have it. No, there's no exceptions. There's literally no exceptions. We all have it. Identify that darkness, okay? You process that darkness by bringing it out of the ignorance of the unconscious into the understanding of the conscious mind, the higher self, the right hemisphere, inner Christ, etc., etc. This understanding then allows you to adequately process the darkness. When I say adequately process, I mean understand why at that particular moment you are feeling that particular emotion, that specific feeling. Why does seeing maybe, I guess I could use an example here. Um, a seemingly successful person, okay? Nice car. nice relationship, they have money. Why does that make you angry? Genuine question. Why does that? What emotion does that arise in you when you see that? Are you inspired? Are you like, hey, I could get that. I can have that. There's no reason I can't have that. Are you like, they're a trust fund baby? Oh, the relationship's fake. Oh, the car's probably a lease. Oh, it's daddy's money, etc., etc. Are you coming at it from a place of envy, from a place of lack, from a place of jealousy? You don't know where we came from. Oh, that's not my family. That's not us. So I have to actually work for stuff. Or you come at it from, you know what? They have that. I can see that, but there's no reason that I can't have what they have. Or more. There's no reason I can't have more. There's a reason I couldn't have a nicer car. Not to compete with them, but because maybe I like a different style of car. For instance, there's a lot of guys. There's a lot of guys from these trucks, these real big trucks, real expensive trucks, and it seems to mean a lot to them. They really love the trucks. I love muscle cars. Okay, I really love muscle cars. So if I had the money, right, or I should say, when I have the money, it's not. Um, I can 100% see myself driving a muscle car. I would get a muscle car. I wouldn't get a big truck. That's not my style. I don't feel the need to drive one of those. I genuinely don't. No condemnation, no criticism. I like muscle cars. I also like old school cars, like old trucks and everything. But I would probably get a muscle car, like a Mustang Fastback or something, because that's my style. I like that. Okay, their style is the truck. Another style maybe would be like a Porsche Panorama. Very nice car. Very nice car as well. What a Porsche 911. That's a James Bond car. I would drive that 100%. Sign me up. So it's just different strokes, different folks, right? But it's also about their style, my style. Okay, who I am, who they are. Who I am, who they are. Now, it might seem like I was getting a bit off topic here, but I think really the simple example of the car illustration goes to show you not only how diverse, excuse me, the core interests that we possess are, and are really, I guess, I should replace the word interests with desires, the core desires, okay? Aside from base biological, sex, food, shelter, etc., etc. But it's really what God puts on our hearts, okay? And this includes, again, I'm bringing it full circle here, this includes shadow work, okay? By making the darkness into light, you are literally, quite literally, yin and yang. Yin and yang, the two becoming one. Okay? In your mind, the two becoming one. Hence why I said it would induce psychic integration. Because it allows you to become more whole within yourself. When you recognize that darkness and you do not reject it, you do not shy away from it, you don't repress it, try to do like all these tricks to pretend it isn't there, to just gaslight yourself even worse and continue to grow the darkness. And you see it and you're like, yeah, okay. And that's because of this, and this is because of that, and that leads to my old way of thinking, which was mainly a perceived sleight of the ego, for an example. Right? You are then aware not only of your triggers and your ticks, but also of who you actually are. Because that deep shadow work, I'm talking like shadow boxing kind of work, man. That deep, deep shadow work is extremely rare. Okay, because it's really not what's being promulgated or promoted by pop psychology these days. I believe it is what Carl Jung promoted, what he actually promoted in his psycho um, psychoanalytic school of thought, but it isn't what's popularized. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it'll rule your life, and you'll call it fate. I'm not saying that statement's untrue. I'm saying that that's like the tip of the iceberg, man. Straight up, no disrespect. That's literally the tip of the iceberg, my G. If you want to do the shadow work, you gotta dig. You gotta go deep, and a lot of it really goes back to childhood and the repressed traumas that that we thought we were doing the right thing by repressing them, that were inflicted on us, whether willingly or not, is no excuse for us not to process them. And I say that with the full knowledge of the pain that will come when you do process them, because it's I mean, I can't lie to you guys or and gals. It is painful, okay, but that pain is necessary because by moving through it and allowing it to move through you, you get on the other side of it. And on the other side of pain, you will find paradise. Quite literally. What is another was I believe it was another quote by Carl Jung actually. If a tree wants to grow to heaven, its roots must reach down to hell. As above, so below. As within, so without. I'm not saying you have to inflict some sort of self-flagellation ritual on you because you deserve to be in hell, or that or you're a filthy sinner and you're not worth anything. I didn't say any of that. I think a lot of the problem with Christians and a lot of religions is that it's just they talk very poorly about themselves. It's like, why would you speak to yourself in such a manner? You're a child of God, a, a son, a daughter of the Most High. Don't speak to yourself. Life and death are in the power of the tongue. Do not talk to yourself like that. I don't care if you're saying it to glorify Christ. I don't believe Christ would want you to talk to yourself like that. I don't believe that. Why? What? Because some pastor told you? What the Pope told you? I'm deferring to God. I think I'll defer to Christ. For me, I'm not I'm not about that, and I don't support that. So don't talk about yourself like that, okay? Because you're gonna associate with that, whether you think so or not. When you think about your self concept, when you think about who you actually are, who is it that I say I am? Who do you say that I am? You're gonna think about that, and that's not it. That ain't the play. So shadow work really involves you looking at all those ugly bits, all those nasty little, you know, the animalistic anger, the raw desire, the the base lust, the avarice, the caprice, looking at it as an observer, clinically, and taking it, accepting it for what it is, bringing it into the light of your whole awareness as a being, as a universal being, a child of the Most High, and transmuting it into gold, alchemical gold, via subsuming it into your psychic mind. Okay? You are making the dark light. As above, so below. From below to above. And the within is the without. The without, the within. And all things become one. There is no division in Christ Jesus, and there is no division in God. Only eternal unity. And also, some of the other benefits that you'll see, because it's really an ongoing practice, when you continue with the shadow work, is that your refractory period, the time when something happens that would used to be a trigger, and your response to it becomes shorter and shorter. Okay, so say you see something like that and it makes you angry, and you start to realize quicker and quicker why that made you angry. like literally the exact reason why. I mean, that's first principles right there. You're down to the root cause already. You know it. You literally know within the fiber of your being why that made you angry. It implied lack. It said something about you. It brought up a memory that you had repressed and but that you still identified with. Okay? That's important. A memory that you repressed but that you still identified with. And so you felt anger. You felt frustration. You weren't angry. You weren't frustrated. You were feeling those things. You're not those things. You're just feeling those things because you're observing it, right? And you'll also notice, in my opinion, you'll have more of an understanding of the dynamics of human nature because you have quite literally done the inner work. Okay, a lot of people have not done that. It's not common. It's the exact opposite actually. It's uncommon. It's painful. It's very rare, but it's worth its weight in gold, and it's priceless, quite frankly. And you start to see that all those repressed darknesses, all that repressed darkness, those feelings of negativity that they literally just wouldn't deal with. Push them away, push them away, push them away, push them away. Okay, just because you push something away doesn't mean it goes away. That's not how that works. That's not a thing. Straight up, no. It's still there. It's growing. It has now grown. It hit a growth spurt. It's bigger now. It's on creatine now. It's hitting the weights now. You understand? Like I know I'm joking about this, but it's a serious matter. Okay, because that's just repression, and um, that's really not the play. We aren't meant to avoid dark things. We are meant to look at them in the face and bring them into the light that we all embody, the light that we all are. That requires looking at them for us to do that, actually seeing them as they are, gives us a real strength of character because we're not just looking at you know, I don't want to say this. We're not just looking at what we like to see and forcing ourselves to focus on the good. We're looking at what is actually there. And what is actually there at times can easily be completely dark, base, raw, rough, ugly, violent. All of these things and more, much, much more. But we see those things. We don't shy away from them. We see them. We recognize them as parts of ourself, but not as ourselves, not as our fundamental identity. And I believe the worst aspects of the shadow ferment when they are simply not understood. They're neglected. And that neglect, I mean, really, it creates a monster in your own mind. You are that monster now. You are because you kept feeding it. Unknowingly, you kept feeding it. And you wonder, why isn't it going away? What's wrong with me? There's nothing wrong with you. You don't know who you are. You don't know who you are because you won't look at yourself. But if you brought that monster out of the closet, you would see that you could just integrate it into your overarching psyche. And you would not only be more whole, you would not only be holistic, but you would actually be fulfilled. And you would be made stronger from that darkness. Because the darkness was also a part of it. But it now walks in the light. And the dark and the light are one. Okay? There's no separateness here. just degrees of difference. There's no separateness. Separate things, sure. Separate, but not separateness. Separate, but not separated, I should say. So when shadow work is implemented regularly, I believe, honestly, really, it's a everyday process. And if you have some time, journaling at the end of the day, or just going through a shadow work session, say pick an instance that really got to you today, something that made you upset, and really go deep on why, and to like think about it from a first principles perspective until you get to the root cause and examine that cause honestly, clinically. Don't be judgmental about yourself. Don't say I shouldn't do this, I shouldn't do that. Don't don't do that. Okay? Don't listen to what anybody else told you. I mean, I'm just gonna be honest with you there. Don't listen to what other people told you about that. Because whether they wanted to or not, they probably did you a disservice. Just focus on understanding yourself. That is all you have to do. Focus on understanding yourself via going down to that root cause, examining that root cause, any repressed memories, traumas, limiting beliefs, things like that, of that nature. There's just a few examples. It's by no means meant to be comprehensive. That led you to internalize it. There's no judgment, there's no condemnation, only understanding and self introspection. The real power of shadow work, in my mind, and to my opinion, is that it uncovers another layer of yourself to yourself. You've now you've just discovered something new about your inner essence, about your fundamental existence, and you've accepted it, and you understood it. And that's exactly what 99% of the world will never do. I shouldn't say never do, but they are not doing. But you did it. You've automatically differentiated yourself right off the bat. And you did so in a genuinely fulfilling way because it led you to becoming the man or woman that God put you on this earth to be. But in order to walk in the light, you gotta endure the darkness. And you endure the darkness by understanding why you are in the darkness, not by condemning yourself for it, not by criticizing yourself for it. It's some sort of weird ritual of self-flagellation. I don't know why that's been popularized. I don't support it. I find it disturbing, quite frankly, and I don't recommend it in any way, shape, or form. That's not what Christ came to preach. No, no, that's not what the Most High. That's not what God advocates either. And once you go within for yourself, I believe you will see that to be true as well. But you have to do the shadow work, and I really would recommend it as an everyday practice. I would do it alongside with journaling, excuse me, and just get your thoughts down. Don't think about it any more than you have to aside from writing it. Do not judge it. That's a lot easier said than done. But once you just write down one page, you'll find that, okay, you can do it. You can do it. Write down one line if you have to. Take it line by line. Literally, take it line by line. That's how they taught Easy E to rap. Okay? I'm not criticizing that practice at all. It worked. It worked for Easy E. RIP. But I mean, for real. Take it line by line if you got to. And just focus on understanding where it's actually coming from via the root cause approach. And you will find an inner power that surpasses conceptual understanding of the subject. Because it's one thing to talk about the shadow, and it's another thing to know your own shadow. And when you know your own shadow, you can no longer be controlled by it. And people cannot control you using it, whether they do it consciously or unconsciously. Okay? That goes both ways. Always remember, however, that you are not your darkness. The darkness is in you, but you are not of the darkness. You are of the light. You are of the Father. If you know yourselves, then you will come to be known, and you will see that you are children of the living Father. But if you do not know yourselves, then you will be in poverty, and you are that poverty. From the Gospel of Thomas. Beautiful text. And a true statement, if there ever was one. To know yourself, you must see your darkness, not reject it, integrate it into your psyche. You will find that now that you have both the light and the dark, both the poles, seemingly opposite, but actually identical, now you have true wisdom, because you have undertaken the alchemical process of lead into gold. And that singular process will be everything for how you live your life from this point on. Shadow work awakens the mind to itself. The dark is the light is the dark, and all is one under God. Thank you for watching. God bless, and always remember who you